The main reason I wanted to get everybody together tonight is just to kind of set the stage for the coming week and kind of let you know we've been really blessed to have Herb Cepeda come to St. Louis here on June 20th. And I'm looking around, just about, in fact, all of you were able to be at that event. And it really helped me solidify some things that I need to make sure I was focused on. And then the day after Herb was here in St. Louis, Diane and I left for England, and they had the grand opening of Isagenix in the UK, the official grand opening. And we got to hear from multiple $1 million a year earners over there in the UK. Now, they weren't obviously from the UK because the UK is just getting started, but they're from Australia, the United States predominantly. And just nugget after nugget after nugget. There was a guy, Jay Bennett, who spoke, and some of you may or may not have heard of Jay Bennett, but he's pretty well known in the industry. But he did a great job. And the main thing I took away from both Herb Cepeda and the people at the event in the UK, the grand opening, is you got to keep it simple. A brand new person needs to be able to come in your business and know what to do, know how to do it, and be able to have success doing it. Everybody that showed up at the event was special. So not to minimize anybody that was there, but there were a couple people in the room on June 20th when Herb Cepeda was here in St. Louis, one of which was a top trainer in our industry. He's been at the top of the pay plan of a couple different companies. Now, I personally have been at the top of 4 pay plans, but that's not saying a whole lot when you realize, I mean, it kind of is, but they're all small ponds. They're all small companies. This guy, Prepaid Legal was one of them, and Nerium was another one. And so these are big, big companies. And so he spent some time with me and some time with Stan Jagow over the last week and a half. And it's really helped me to refocus on some things that I learned over 20 plus years in this industry, back in my early days with Amway and different things. One of my faults as a leader is that I tend to sometimes be personality driven to where I can do something, so I go do it without using the tools as extensively as I should. And so one of the things that Herb Cepeda and the leaders in the UK and this new trainer that's just joined our team, who we're very, very thankful to have on our team, all have emphasized is you got to have a very clear-cut, simple system, and it's going to be real easy. Bottom line, the one thing I was doing, but not near as extensive as I need to, and that's helping people really uncover their dream. And it's got to be more than just how much money do you want to make, because money in and of itself is nothing. You know, what is that money going to do for you? What is your real dream? What's driving you? What are you passionate about? And Stan, you and I have had a couple meetings with his trainer, and he'll spend 45 minutes to an hour on the dream. And one of the things he's telling me to do is slow down so I can speed up. You know, I tend to want to get people started right away and go fast. So I go through their getting started right fast. And he's saying, Chuck, you got to slow down. You got to connect. You got to find out what their why is. And then you got to show them a path to get to their why. And one of the things he does that I've really taken heart to is the ideal budget. He has a person sit down, and, you know, most of us have a budget. He says, all right, if money were no object, what would your ideal budget look like? And I'm going to challenge all of you here live, and those of you that catch this as a recording, to take a few minutes and write down that ideal budget. You know, would you be living in the house you're living in? If so, that's great. For most people, it's not. In your ideal house, what would it cost? What would your monthly payment be? And then just put that number down. And then just go through step by step the different things in your life. Car. Are you driving the car of your dreams? Would you want more than one car if money were no object? If so, what would those monthly payments be? Do you like to travel? What would your annual travel budget be? And then divide that by 12. Insurance, food, clothing allowance. One of the big ones for us is charitable giving. And go through and get yourself together a budget on what it would take to have that ideal budget. And what he was telling us through his experience of doing that literally thousands of times is that the average person, when you add up their monthly expenses and everything, it's usually less than $20,000 a month. And for some of us, that might sound like a whole lot of money, and I guess in a lot of respects it is. But in some respects, it's not, when you realize in this industry, every leader that you bring onto your team, and I'm talking personally here, is going to be worth about $4,000 to $5,000 a month to you. Now, when I'm talking about a leader, I'm not talking about the person who's doing this part-time and they're making $500 to $1,000 a month. To me, that's very, very successful. And like Diane and I were talking about earlier, we want thousands of those people on our team. You know, people that are changing their life by $500 to $1,000 a month. But when I'm talking about a leader, I'm talking about somebody who also is striving for financial freedom. You know, $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 a month. And so what he was teaching us is that in his experience, for every one leader that you bring onto your team, that's going to represent about $4,000 to $5,000 in monthly residual income to you and your family. And so you just need to, after you set up your ideal budget, figure out, okay, how many leaders do I need to achieve that monthly residual income? And so when I start new people now, I'm going to take the time to, first of all, peel back the onion and find out what their why is and really get down to that passionate why on what really drives them, what will keep them in the business, what will get them to overcome all the little things we all got to go through. Life's going to come at all of us, and I want to know what their why is. And I want to teach them to help others determine what their why is and get them dreaming again. After I've done that, I want to help them put together that ideal budget. If money were no object, what would their ideal budget be? And it's going to be somewhere between $250,000 a year for most of us. Now, an ideal budget and what you need short term to be financially free, those are different things. But we're talking about, what is your ideal budget? And to help them identify that and come up with that number. And then back into that number. Now, here's something he did I really liked. He said, okay, look, do you understand the law of large numbers? The law of large numbers. Insurance uses that. Baseball teams use it for batting averages. I mean, all types of business use the law of large averages. It just, the bigger the sample size you get, the more accurate your numbers are going to be. And so he said, how much more accurate can you get than the direct selling industry itself? Not any one company, but the entire industry. And so he shared some numbers with Stan and myself and a couple other leaders. He's like, in the direct selling industry, you need to properly expose 15 people to your opportunity to find one that's going to join you. Now, some of you may have better success. Some of you may have not quite that good of success. The more you do it, the more you practice, the better your success is going to be. But on average, across the board, globally, industry-wide, it's 1 out of 15 people that are properly exposed will join your business. Then out of those that join your business, it's typically 1 out of 10, they're going to hit those highest levels of achievement and become what we call a leader. And so then you basically, from those numbers, back into the number of people that you need to properly expose your business to achieve your goal financially. And it's really good. I saw him do this with a couple new people. It's really good to do this because it sets the proper expectation. Someone doesn't think, well, I'm going to go talk to 3 or 4 people and get rich. We all know that's not the case. So why not be real clear about it so people know the cost going in so they can decide up front if they want to pay that price to achieve whatever it is that they really want to have. That's why you got to dig down into the real strong why. So in my case, I literally want to make a 7-figure annual income. Now, I want to do that for various reasons, but it's very important to me. I'm passionate about it. But short-term, my goal is not 7 figures. Short-term, my goal is paying all my bills and having some left over. That's just the why. I want to provide financial freedom for my wife. I want to provide financial freedom that if something happened to me, I don't have to worry about just my life insurance policy, but I want her to be taken care of the rest of her life and never have to worry about money. That's what's important to me. It's different for all of us, but you really need to figure out what it is for you. Because if you want to succeed, you're going to have to know that. All right, so Most of us, if we find 4 to 5 leaders, that's $20,000 a month, $20,000 to $25,000 a month income. And a lot of us, it's less. A couple of you might be more, but in that ballpark, 4 to 5 leaders. So then you back in the numbers. If you got to show 15 people to get one, and you got to get 10 to get one, do the numbers. And what he was teaching Stan and myself is it's going to take you about 650 people properly exposed in order to achieve your ideal budget. 650 people is the average for most people. Some you're going to have to show more. Stan and I have some pretty audacious goals. We're going to have to show more than 650 people. That's just the way it is. Some people have less. You might get by with 300, 350 people. But on average, it's about 650 people. Now, don't let that scare you. You might be sitting there thinking, man, I can't even think of 5 people right now. How can I possibly think of 650? Everybody around you needs what we have. We are their best solution. They just don't know it yet. And so it could be people you meet. It could be people you meet that introduce you to people. We'll teach you how to network. That's not going to be your issue. We'll teach you how to find the people to talk to. We'll also teach you how to properly present this. And so, Stan, just so I'm not doing all the talking, why don't you take us through the 3 basic steps that he's taught us that I also learned from the millionaires in England, that I also learned from Herb Cepeda. There's 3 simple steps to properly exposing this business. And Stan, if you don't mind, why don't you run us through those real quick?
Yeah. Okay. So the first one is the approach. And in the approach, there's going to be, he teaches about or what we want to be thinking about. And a lot of times, most of us are thinking about this already. We just haven't put it down or put it on paper. So think about it as this. If you would take a sheet of paper and you would put an A at the top and a B at the top, because you're going to have 2 groups of people. The A group or the A bucket is where everybody's going to fall. The B bucket is going to be those that are specifically looking for income, to make income from a home-based business. Because that is an actual strategy that you're going to use with them that might be a little different than if they are just looking for the A bucket and fit in the A bucket. And that would be those that are looking for the product. So let's start there. Number 1 then, under these 2 buckets, would be that you want to, when you're approaching somebody, the key is that you want to compliment them. And I think we just talked about this the other day with my group. I said, don't compliment me on my hair, because that wouldn't be a real good compliment. But no, just teasing. But compliment somebody and let them know that you're very sincere about what you're complimenting them about. Maybe it's the outfit that they're wearing. Maybe it's the glasses that they have on. Maybe it's their mannerisms or whatever. But be complimentary to them. Number 2 would be introduce yourself. You got to have a preset introduction of yourself that's very, very simple. And this is all still about the number 1 thing, which is the approach. Number 3 is we practice the process called the form. FORM. What that stands for is family, occupation, recreation, and then the message that you're trying to create with that person. Now, when you can get into these levels of interaction with somebody, so you're going to compliment them, you're going to introduce yourself, and then you're going to talk to them, how many kids do you have? Or what do your kids do? Do you have, are you come from a large family or a small family? What do you do for an occupation? What do you like to do on recreation? Because what you're doing is you're setting up in this first part of the approach is you're building a relationship with them, because you're going to fall back on some of these things maybe later on throughout the process. And number 4 is you're going to do the second step. Number 4 takes you right into the second step, which is the tools. So when you're in the approach, you're building it, you're going to say something like this. Could I ask you to do a favor for me, Chuck? And Chuck is going to say, sure, Stan, I'll do a favor for you. Would you go ahead, if I were to send you a video, would you have time to take a look at it?
Yes.
Great. What if I send it over to a link over to you? What time? It's 8 o'clock right now. What time, or 8:30? What time do you think you'd be able to take a look at it?
I'm going to be busy for about the next 20 minutes, but I can probably get to it around the top of the hour.
Okay, so around 9 o'clock then. So how about I give you a call back around 10 o'clock? Would that be enough time for you to take a look at it, or is 10 o'clock too late on a Sunday night?
No, 10 o'clock will be fine. I'll be available.
Okay, so now what I've just done is I sent the tool over to Chuck to view, and I'm now tying him down for a time that I'm going to go and follow up with that process. So what people like to do is we're using videos. Some people like to read and some people like to listen, but we're using the video process because it's so powerful. We have a number of videos that we can send people to allow them to understand the process that we want to get them to think about. So after they get the video, I'm going to call up Chuck at 10 o'clock and I'm going to say, Chuck, did you get a chance to look at the video?
Yes, I did.
What did you find to be interesting or that piqued your interest?
The transformation of people's lives was amazing to me. I've been looking to lose a little around my waist myself, but also the freedom that these people were achieving. Both those things were very attractive to me.
Great. Chuck, on a scale of like 1 to 10, how do you see yourself putting this into your lifestyle?
I'd have to say I'm about a 7, Stan.
Well, great. Can you hang on just a minute? I don't even look up. I'm going to just put him, if I'm on the phone with them, I'm just going to say, hold on just a minute. I'm going to then go to a 3-way call. So the next step is 1 is approach, 2 is the tool, and 3 is the follow-up. And then the 4th one, which Chuck will be talking about, is the 3-way call. And 3-way calls are very, very powerful in the process. We just got to all get in the habit of using the 3-way call for the person that does the 3-way call is going to win because it's going to create credibility. Now think about this. I'll leave you with this thought and I'll turn it back over to Chuck. In my own house, I'm known as Dad. I'm known as Stan. I'm known as the brother, the son, the father, the husband. I take my briefcase and I leave this house and I'm known as the expert. So what does that mean? You're not going to have influence as much influence with your personal contacts as you would is if you turn it over to somebody else and let them help you build that credibility. So back to you, Chuck. That's the first 3. Number 4 would be the 3-way call.
I just want to re-emphasize a couple things that Stan covered because they're so important. I don't want you to miss them. Number 1 is you noticed when he sent me the video, he scheduled a time to follow up with me. It is so important that you do that because if you just start calling a person or you're going to waste a lot of time. You need to schedule a time and do it professionally. Now, this person's doing you a favor, and your goal, you need to take it away from them and make it to where you're not trying to recruit them. And you got to be real straightforward about that. You're probably not going to be interested. But I want you to see what I'm doing because as a friend, I want you to be able to refer people to me that I might be able to help. Always be focused on helping other people. And so as you're doing that, schedule a time to follow up and get a commitment from them when they're going to watch it, then follow up. He mentioned that. I just want to reemphasize it because it's so important. It's a step a lot of us miss. A lot of us will send out a text or an email and then we'll just hope something happens without really getting that commitment, number 1, that they're going to watch it, and number 2, getting a commitment up front that you're going to follow up. And then be a professional and follow up and make sure that they did. Now, if they didn't watch it, have them watch it right then when you do get back in touch with them and make that happen. Now, on the 3-way call, Stan and I are going to role play that for you, but if you're thinking, oh, I know Stan's too busy, I know Chuck's too busy, I know our leader's too busy, you're missing the point. The 3-way call is kind of the magic that we've been missing as a team that we got to stop missing. We got to quit just doing 3-way calls when we think we got a heavy hitter or somebody on the phone. We need to do a 3-way call every single prospect. And the reason for that is because your prospect is going to duplicate what you did. Not what you tell them to do, but what you actually did. And so if you didn't do a 3-way call, they're going to think it's inappropriate to do a 3-way call, and they're going to be less likely to do it. And you might be able to have success without the 3-way call. I have, Stan has, some of you have, but 98% of people won't. And therefore, what does that say for your business?
Right.
And so in your business, you want it to be to where all they have to do is get someone to watch a video and get someone on the phone with an expert. Every one of you need to have about 4 or 5 of us that you can call for a three-way call. So if one of us are not available, you've got just your list that bam, bam, bam. You can find one of us that will take that three-way call. So I'm going to walk you through the script real quick. I've got it right here, a script. It's also on teamofhope.com on the July blog. You can see the script right there typed up for you. But Stan, let's say Steve is your prospect, and you've just shown Steve the video. You've just checked his interest. He is a 6, 7, 8, 9, or 10. Don't be doing a three-way call if somebody says they're a 2 or a 3. That person's not interested. Don't expect us to work a miracle and get them from not interested to interested. You gotta screen them with a tool, and then if they're interested, that's when you want to do the three-way call so we can help do what I'm about to show you how to do. All right, so Stan, Steve has said he's a 6 or 6.5 or a 7, so he is interested. Go ahead and introduce me, and then I'll take it from there.
Hi, Chuck. I have on the call with me Stephen, and Stephen has seen the video that I sent him, and he has a couple questions. The one question is a little bit on the pay plan, but he sees himself as a 6.5 or 7, and I just wanted to introduce you, Stephen. This is Chuck. Go ahead, Chuck.
All right, thank you. Now, at that point of the conversation, just out of character for a minute, just a little training. Stan's going to mute his phone. He's not going to say another word unless I specifically call on him and say, Stan, your story fits Steve's perfectly. Let me go ahead and share it. Unless I call on him, he's not going to say another word until we're saying goodbye and thank you. Secondly, did you hear how he said that Steve was a 6.5 or a 7? What he's doing is he's letting me know that he used the system. And so now I know he's seen the video and he's a 6.5 or a 7. So I know where we're at in the conversation. And so the first thing I'm going to do is build rapport with Steve. So Steve, I've got your mic off. Are you there?
Yes.
Great, I can hear you. All right, so first thing I'm going to do is say, Steve, great to meet you. Stan is a great friend of mine. How long have you known Stan?
Well, I've known Stan not too long, a few months actually. He's a great mentor.
Great. Yeah, Stan and his wife Lisa are just a phenomenal couple. They have a very unique perspective on this business, and they are having a lot of fun, let me tell you. All right, that right there, what I just said, is the perfect edification for all of us. I'm not telling you what level he is. I'm not saying he's a double, triple, gold, whatever. The person we're talking to doesn't know what that means anyway, so why tell the person that? I don't have to tell him how much he makes per month. Nobody else does that. We don't want to be doing that. And so all I want to do is say, Stan and Lisa have a very unique perspective on this business, and they're having the time of their life. And that's how you want to edify each other. It's a perfect edification script. Okay, so back to the script. After I've asked you what you do, or I don't know how you know him, I'm going to ask you what you do. So, Steve, what do you do professionally?
Well, actually, I'm retired. I spend a little bit of time volunteering at the church with our Celebrate Recovery ministry and do a lot of different things to help people, but I retired about a year ago. Fantastic.
I like to hear you're involved in the community, and especially faith-based. That says a lot about you, so thank you for doing that. That's great. I guess you saw something that interests you. Stan told me about a 6.5 on the scale of 1 to 10. What was it that caught your interest or piqued your interest?
One of the big things I really think are the products. I've been looking for a system similar to what I had seen for years and tried a number of things, and nothing really worked. But, the results seem pretty obvious that this is a good solution for me, so I'm interested in that. Because I'm retired, I still have things that I would like to do. It seems like every day I see somebody that could use a little hand up, and I'd like to do a little bit more on the charitable giving side than we are today. So it looks like an excellent opportunity besides the products.
Fantastic. Now, in my script, and you'll see it on the teamofhope.com, if Stan had not already told me he was a 6.5, it would be at this point here that I would ask Steve, where he'd rate himself, with a 1 being, guys, I'm not even interested, I don't know why I'm on this call, to 10 being, let's stop talking, get me enrolled, I'm ready to go with you guys. So 1 to 10, where would you be? And he's already told Stan he's a 6.5, so I'm not going to repeat that question. But if Stan hadn't introduced him that way, I would ask you at this point, Steve, where you are, so I know where you're at on the scale. You would have already been asked by Stan, but had he not introduced you that way, I would ask you right now so I know. And it also re-emphasizes to you that Stan and I are on the same page. We're both asking the same basic questions. All right, as I wrap up this call, it's great to meet you. There's a couple things. Do you mind if I tell you my story real quick, Steve?
Sure, I'd love to hear it.
All right, but basically, I grew up in what's called corporate America. From a very young age, I was running businesses for other people, had a pretty high level of success. I relocated my family multiple times, had a nice salary, but I never really had any security in that environment. Even though I liked what I did, every Sunday afternoon, I kid you not, my stomach would start to knot up, and I'd start to get like these knots in my stomach. And I actually liked what I did, but it was just that the stress of going back into that corporate environment. And then I saw my friends and my peers getting laid off and having to change jobs and change careers. It wasn't like my dad and his generation where people could work at a place and retire and have those pensions. I just wasn't seeing that. So from a very young age, I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. And I found this industry called direct sales network marketing that I saw people achieving true financial freedom and residual income. And I tried several different companies, and I had a measure of success, but I never found the right company. But recently, I found a company called Isagenix, and it's the one you saw the video on. And that company has got a phenomenal foundation in place, and I believe it's a legacy company in the making. And by a legacy company, that means that it's going to be around not only for my lifetime, but it's going to go well into my children and my grandchildren's lifetime. To me, that's what I was looking for. So I'm really excited about that. And this gives me the opportunity to truly provide financial freedom for my wife and my kids and even my grandkids. And Steve, I don't know about you, but to me, that was what was important to me. So each of you are going to have to tell your own story and keep it about that short. But you want to try to hit on some of those hot buttons that I hit on. And then that's my story. After I tell my story, I'm simply going to wrap this up with, Steve, is there anything else you need to see or hear before you're ready to get started?
Well, I'm pretty slow at making a decision. I've made some bad decisions or poor decisions in the past that really didn't get me where I wanted to go. And it's really kind of interesting because my story parallels right along with your story and has gotten me to this point. So, yeah, I'd still like to know a little bit more about the compensation plan, and realistically, I'm going to need some help getting myself to open my mouth to talk to people, to introduce the program. So it really sounds like with your help and Stan's help, I'll be able to do that. So, yeah, I'm going to want a little bit more information, and I'm going to need a little bit of time to think about it before I jump in, but I'm pretty excited about it already.
Awesome. Well, we're excited about working with you, and it sounds to me like you're talking about the business side of things. What I want to encourage you to do, since you've already made the decision you want to get in better health, is get with Stan and go ahead and set up your account and place an initial order. Stan will help you figure out the right solution for you, but get that order placed, get the product. There's no risk at all. It's 100% money back guarantee. And so get yourself set up with an account, try the product. And here's what's cool about this. You're going to have what's called natural referrals. Now, my 20 plus years in this industry, I've never experienced it. I've heard about it, but I've never experienced it until Isagenix. In Isagenix, your body is going to transform. Whether you're a stud like Stan, our mutual friend, or whether you're like me or my brother Jim or others who weren't studs like Stan, your body's going to transform one way or another. I'll give you a quick story. My brother Jim, he saw my transformation, and so he wanted to do it. He didn't do it for the business. That's called natural referrals. I've never had that before in anything I've ever done in 20 plus years. Jim had a better transformation than me percentage-wise. I mean, he literally released 47 pounds. And Steve, what he did is he just posted a picture on Facebook, his before and after, and he had people calling him saying, hey, I don't know what you did to make that happen, but I want it. So we're not talking about you being a great recruiter or a great salesman. We're just talking about you having a good experience and then sharing that experience with other people. So let's get you started with a pack that meets your needs, and then you can decide later if you want to build a business or not. I think you're going to find, though, as your body starts to transform, the referrals are going to start taking care of themselves, and the more excited you get, you may end up talking to people, you may not, but you can actually, for once in your life, build a business simply by using a product and getting good results. Does that sound good?
Yeah, it sounds excellent. Thank you.
All right, now here's the key. That's the end of the call. At that point, I'm literally going to edify Stan and Lisa one more time. Say, Steve, you got in with the right couple, man. They're plugged in. They're up-and-coming superstars in the team, and you couldn't be with anybody better. So you're really blessed to have them as your sponsor. So, Stan, what I want you to do at this point is get with Steve, and it sounds to me like he's more interested in the product to get started. Find out, what pack best meets his needs, and chocolate or vanilla, the questions. And then once he's in the program, call me back and let me just say welcome aboard officially, okay?
Sounds great. Thank you for your time today, Chuck.
Very good. Now, pause in the conversation. We're literally done with that conversation, but I want you to see how duplicatable it was what we just did. Number one, you approach the person and you ask them for help. You immediately take it away. I don't think you're going to be interested in this as a business. You might not even be interested in it as a product, but it's something my wife and I are really excited about. And so we're building this business now. And as a friend, I just like your help. Well, how can I help you? You can help me by watching a short video. Are you willing to do that for me? And get their commitment to watch that short video. You then send them the link to the video, set a time for a follow-up, and then you do follow up. And when you follow up, all you're basically doing is, what did you like best about the video? What piqued your interest about the video? Questions like that. Never ask them, what'd you think? We're all programmed in this world we live in to think negatively. 90+% of news is negative news. So you don't want to ask the person, what do you think? You just want to say, what did you like best? Or what piqued your interest? You are soliciting a positive response. At that point, once you get the positive response, you always say, me too. No matter what they're excited about, me too. Because you are now, because your prospect is excited about that, you are too. So it's an honest statement. Whatever they say, me too. And then you ask them a simple question like Stan taught you. On a scale of 1 to 10, being 1, I'm not interested at all. 10 being, man, how soon can I get my product? Where would you say you fall on a scale of 1 to 10? And then listen. If they say a 3, 4, or 5, here's what you want to say. Steve, if you said you were a 3, 4, or 5 to Stan, here's what he would have said. Steve, what I have found typically, my friend, is that when people say 3, 4, or 5, they're just trying to be polite to me and tell me they're just not interested. And that's okay. I didn't think this would be for you in the beginning. I just wanted your help. So we agreed on that up front, right? Yes. And so immediately you're taking that rejection away. I didn't think you'd be interested. But you told me to watch it. I'm glad you did. I do want to do one more thing, though. It sounds like you're interested in the product. I'm going to send you a video specifically on the product because I really want you to understand the health benefits my wife and I are getting now. And then I'll set a time to follow up again, and I might be able to get him from a 3, 4, 5 up to a 6 or 7. But if he's not a 6 or 7, I'm not doing a three-way call. But if he's a 6, 7, 8, or 9, I'm doing a three-way call. And nobody comes in as a 10. If somebody tells you, hey, I'm a 10, sign me up right now, I'd be as leery of them as I would have 1 because somebody gets that excited, wants to sign up that fast, they end up quitting just as fast as they start. So you'll very seldom get a 10. But a 6, 7, 8, or 9, you want to do the three-way call. Now, we will be doing this from now on. A lot of you we didn't do the three-way call with when we got started, and so you got taught the wrong way when you got in. And we just got to, as leaders, all agree at this point that from this day forward, we follow this simple, duplicatable system with our team. It becomes our culture. And then the brand new person, what if they tell you they don't have time? Well, now with this system, you can overcome that objection because how much time does it take to send somebody a link to a video? Literally about 5 minutes maybe. So in the little 5-minute increment pockets of time that you have in your life, you can do this business now. How long does it take to do a three-way call? If you're spending 35, 45 minutes on a three-way call, you are blowing it. You should blow through these questions right here and do what I just did in about 5 minutes or less. And so you got 2 5-minute activities here. Number one is set up the call and schedule a follow-up to that tool going out. Number two is a 3-way call. Those are our 2 activities. Those are the only 2 activities that are going to produce income for you. Then it's our job as the person doing the 3-way call. We're the expert, and there's going to be many of you that become experts. Personally, if I were you, I'd want to deal with those of us that have at least hit, manager, director, executive. We know what we're doing, so that's kind of what you want to look for in some of you work with. But we can do this for each other. But pockets of time. So if you tell me you don't have time, I'm going to remind you of the process we just went through. Steve, Stan sent you a link to a video. How long did Stan take doing that? 5 minutes, right? Max. And then Stan followed up with you after you watched the video, and he put me in a 3-way call with you. How long did Stan invest in that 3-way call? Another 5 minutes, right? So we've just shown you a system and a business that you can do in 5-minute increments of time in your life. So even if you're as busy as Lisa, who is one of the busiest ladies I know, Stan's wife, you can find those little 5-minute increments of time to do these 2 activities that are the income-producing activities in our business. Does that work? All right, what if the person tells you, I can't do this, I don't know anything? Again, using this system, you take away that objection because it's no longer an issue. What did Stan know? He knew to get you to watch a video and then get you on a 3-way call and then let me tell you my story and see if you're ready to get started. And so it takes away the time objection and it takes away the I don't know what to do objection. All right, that's what I wanted to cover tonight. I do want to tell you that one of the things I've done is I'm starting over. I just made a list of 650. I don't have the 650 names yet, but I got the number 650. And then I started yesterday as I get people through the process. And for me, the process is getting someone to watch the video with an open mind. And so once a person watches the video with an open mind, they become one of my 650. I then want to follow through with the rest of the correct process. But if after watching the video, they say they're not interested, that's cool. That counts as one of my 650 that I need for my own personal 100% ideal budget financial freedom. And so whatever your number is, 350, 650, or 1,200, let's just say for the average of us, it's 650. If you know you have to expose this to 650 people, you can do 1 or 2 a week and take 10 years, or you can do 1 or 2 a day and take 1 or 2 years. Which do you prefer to do? If you're like most of us, it's the 1 to 2 years. And 1 to 2 a day doesn't seem like a lot to be totally financially free and be making $10,000, $20,000 a month. But if you will do 1 to 2 a day consistently and persistently, that's the key, then there's no doubt in my mind you will not fail. It is impossible to fail if you use the system and do the activity. Impossible to fail. Isn't that what really people are looking for? They're looking for something they can do and succeed. Now, depending on where your personality is, your people skills, you may need to read more books and listen to some tapes to get to the point where your 1 or 2 years really takes off for you. But we're all a very short time frame away from making this happen for our family. But you got to get life out of the way. You got to commit to do the things necessary to succeed and take the hour or 2 a day to go through these steps in 5-minute increments. Stan, I know we've covered a lot more than that, but I don't want to overwhelm everybody with this first call. I kind of just want to lay out the basics. Is there anything else you want to share before I go through the schedule for the week?
Yeah, just remember this, and that's good information that we've shared with them tonight, Chuck. But the person on the other side of the phone or the desk or the table that you're sharing this business with is thinking 3 things. 1, can I do it? 2, do I have time to do it? And 3, do I want to do it? So you have to make it, like Chuck said, so easy so that they can, none of those things are deterring them from making the final decision. Can I? Do I have time? And do I want to? So if you make it so simple that you just do an approach, you share the tool. How many people do you know that can say, hi, Could you help me out? If I send you a tape, would you have time to look at it and get themselves out of the way? I am also a product of being the answer man, and this is a simple process for me as well. So I'm going to this, I'm using this same thing for everybody I talk to. And like Chuck said, our numbers are big. But if you take the number that you want to achieve, work it in backwards. And if you don't know how to do that, those of you that are on our team, Chuck and I'll sit down with you, each of you, and show you how to work these numbers backwards. Right, Chuck?
Absolutely. And the only thing I want to add to what Stan just said on that third point, can you do it? What were the three, Stan? Do you have time? Can you?
Can I
do you want to?
And do I want to do what you do?
The do I want to, there's a little more to that. Do I want to do to my friends and family what you just did to me? That's exactly what that's the question they're asking themselves. Right. Do I want to do to my friends and family what you just did to me? And so that's why when you're doing this, you got to be very nice, and you got to be, you got to walk them through the process. Never belittle anybody. Never, you're just trying to give somebody hope is what you're trying to do. Who can I help today? Is this a Cepeda saying? Who can I help today? And so you want the person thinking, yes, I can do this. And yes, with this system, I've got time to do this. And three, I would like to do this with my friends and family because it's a clean, easy process. There's nothing embarrassing. I'm not going to hurt anybody. I'm sharing love with people. Right. All right, so let me shut this recording off and go through our schedule.